All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Selling Fort Collins podcast. I'm here with local entrepreneur, Dani Grant. Dani, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to learn about this and talk about a bunch of things Fort Collins-ish.
Oh, we are so excited for you to be here. I can't think of a person we've had on the show that has had more going on. Very exciting background. Why don't you give us a little bit of information on how you started in Fort Collins?
You know, it's funny. I grew up in Philadelphia. I moved to Colorado in like 98 because I really love the outdoors and wanted to live in a mountain area. I was a mountain biker and got real accustomed to Denver and all the arts and cultural things in Denver. I'm a music girl. I love theater and arts. And my ex-husband grew up here in Fort Collins. And at a certain time in our career, we had the opportunity to come here. I had small children. And I was really afraid to move here because I thought I was going to miss a lot of cultural things. I thought I was going to be giving up a ton of opportunities to go do, interesting things. And when I got here, I quickly understood that I was wrong, that this little cute town had so much to offer. And so we moved here in 2003.
Okay.
From the Denver area. And at that point, I started to work with our business then, Chippers Lanes. So entertainment, bowling, fun, pizza. We did a bunch of programming in the music area. And I began to get to know a lot of musicians in Fort Collins and realized there was like an incredible amount of up and coming artists here who just really needed a platform and needed an opportunity to be seen and heard. So that quickly transformed, I'll make a very long story short, into a nonprofit that partnered with the city of Fort Collins to develop economically for the city and also be an incubator for musicians in the area. So with the support of the city, I incubated these artists. And then on behalf of the city, I went out to different parts of the country to show what was happening here in this little tiny pocket of Colorado. And I did that with New Belgium, which was a very important cultural shifter in this region. The New Belgium brewery changed a lot of the way things were. So the city, myself, and New Belgium thought we should be promoting this place as bikes, beers, and bands.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We did it lots of places.
And your nonprofit was called Spokesbuzz?
Spokesbuzz, yeah. Yeah.
Spokesbuzz.
It was an amazing nonprofit. So fun.
Well, there are a lot of people listening that remember that name, I'm sure. You teamed up with the city, New Belgium. You got the word out. How did you get the word out? I'm curious. How did that look, going to other places and kind of, telling them about Fort Collins? What did that look like?
Yeah. So we did showcases in different parts of the country. There's a festival in Austin called South by Southwest that was very well known for being a place where breaking artists came and you could discover. And we did showcases there with New Belgium. And started with 5 bands, one day, New Belgium beer, free New Belgium beer in the city of Austin. And then years later, that was 2008. And in 2015, I had 120 Colorado bands, the state of Colorado, the city of Fort Collins, 5 days, 5 nights, a headquarters in Austin where we broke bands and signed them to contracts. So over that time, we really did a good job of like planting Fort Collins in the hearts and minds of people who were looking for creative cultural spaces like Austin. Mm-hmm. And we did other things too. We had international conferences that we went to, but national things that we did with other sister cities like Madison and Chico and Asheville. And I could go on, Charlottesville, where we did things with the cities, with small business incubators and with musician incubators. So it was a lot of that stuff for years that we did that helped develop how Fort Collins is now perceived nationally as this really cute arts and culture hub. I'm real proud of that work. It was amazing, fun stuff.
You should be, because I think it's important for people to realize, if you're listening and you already live in Fort Collins, it didn't just happen overnight, these shows that come to town. Think of, a famous comedian right now, Nate Bargatze. A few years back, he was through town. So many amazing bands. I could start rattling off the names, but we get amazing shows here. We get big names. They come through the Old Town area, and this didn't just happen. So these efforts with Spokesbuzz, sounds like that was a big part of that. I didn't realize that was behind this, but it sounds like that was a real precursor, because that really was about the time that we started to see the shows come through. And then we started to see more money, more investment made into these buildings, into these stages, these venues, not only at the Aggie, but also Washington's and these other venues as well.
Yeah. Bohemian was really a part of the support for that with the city. And I think some of the bands that you still know of today, like the Burroughs or Slow Caves, or, there's a bunch of them that came through the incubator that really got a lot of, Post Paradise today is a band that went through the incubator that's playing at Visit Fort Collins this afternoon as they open up their new space. But those bands and organizations like Bohemian, the Music District, Washington's, the Armory, all kind of came up together. The Lyric was also a part of it. If you know the Lyric, which is a funky, cool, independent movie place that does a lot of music stuff. So I think everybody was kind of on the same page, and with the city making an investment, with me using my actual, I was in commercial real estate a long time ago and did a lot of dog and pony shows to companies as to why you should move to this area. Right. And so that's kind of where I came from with the music, was to talk to other people in the country about what are the amenities and the things about Fort Collins that you really want to know about. Why do you want to have your business here? Why do you want to live here? Mm-hmm. It's because this place cares about, supports, invests in arts and culture. It's because this place wants to be a cool spot, as well as a place where you can have your kids in a great school district, right? And you don't have to be afraid of letting your kid go off on a bike. My current boyfriend moved here a couple of years ago from Los Angeles. He's a big music guy, music manager. And his dream was, I want to be able to put my kids on a bike and have them go down the street and not be scared. Right. So here he is. These kids are at Lesher and at Fort Collins High, thriving, having fun. And he's still involved in the music scene. And he can't believe it because he's a Los Angeles guy.
I love that. I mean, you have so much energy. We were talking about your family a little bit before we started rolling, and everyone in your family has so much energy. And it seems like you got here in 2003 and you were just a woman on a mission. You just hit the ground running in a way that few people do or can. You spread the word and you really created a music scene. Now, where did it go from there?
From Spokesbus? Yeah. The big acquisition in my life was the Mishawaka Amphitheatre, right? So that was a place where I did a lot of events. And it was a platform for my artists that were developing, where they could play in front of national artists that were coming through. It was really, at the time, 2010 was when I acquired it. It was the only major, live music venue in town. And it was dilapidated and it had a bad reputation. It had a lot of sordid details with the old owner that, a lot of rough rumors and things like that, just not well maintained, and not
some drama.
The community didn't like it. It was drama. It was a little dirty. So, I was able to acquire that venue, and I did it because I really wanted a quality landmark space for our musicians to play in front of national artists coming through. And so that was the impetus to acquire that venue, which went very well and actually caused me to add on to venues. I own the Aggie for a stint, let that go because the partnership didn't work. But, and then I have a venue in Los Angeles now, and I have 3 venues inside my bowling alleys now that are full blown ticketed live music production, venues inside the bowling alley. So
you still have chippers? You still have chippers?
Yeah, still have chippers. Wow. And 3 of the 4 chippers have these music venues in them, 20-foot stages with full production and
wow,
live on the lanes, we call it. Live on the lanes.
I need to get over there. What's the address of Chippers Lanes in Fort Collins?
830 North.
830 North College.
Is the live music venue here in Northern Colorado, and tons of great bands. And it's such a wonderful spot on the north side of town with kind of the arts and culture vibe, and a lot of the younger families are there. And so it's an all ages venue, so you can bring your kids and you can listen to music and boogie out on the lanes, and it's fun stuff.
The North College corridor. I mean, it's cool. It's a whole new corridor now, and we just so if you're listening, 830 North College, Chippers Lanes, go there, take the whole family, bowl, listen to music. Yeah. Dani, you mentioned the Lyric a few minutes ago. The Lyric is
It's right across the street.
Right across the street. It's cinema. They're really cool movies. They'll curate some movies from years past. They have a huge yard in the back. The kids can go out there and play. They have events. They'll also have music. So another place to check out. I talked to a friend last week who goes to the Lyric. If they still do this, I think they do. Saturday mornings, they show cartoons. And they have a big cereal bar, and people take their kids and they get cereal, and they, just like when we were growing up, go in your pajamas, Saturday morning cartoons, the cereal's ready for you. So a few things to do on the North College corridor. So Chippers, really neat. And the Mish, let's go back to that. Everyone here calls it the Mish, and it is such a gem of just our area. You go up the Poudre Canyon. We were talking also, my wife and I discovered this, thing where you can park at CSU. And if you're listening, check this out. Park your car at CSU, grab the shuttle, a big yellow school bus. They're all lined up there. You do not have to drive up the windy, dark canyon at night. You can hop on this shuttle. I can't remember what it costs, but it's incredibly inexpensive.
Like $35 round trip or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's hands-free, worry-free, and very fun. If you like to sing along with people, oftentimes on the way up and the way down, there's a sing along.
Yes.
And that's something that we instituted immediately when I purchased the Mish, was quality, safe transportation up the canyon. It's sustainable. It's safe. It's, it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, and plus it's a destination, right? So you go up, you get your backpack, you get your jacket for later. You're there all night, 3 or 4 hours of great music, sunshine into starlight. It's a really cool spot. It's a magical place on the river. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it in the country.
There isn't. And I hope everyone heard that. On the river. Yeah. And when Dani says on the river, she doesn't mean close to the river. She means literally the stage is on the river. Yep. The first time I was there, I'll never forget. It was like on cue. We were just standing there, my wife, Sarah, and and I saw, I think there were antelope scurrying across the other side of the river.
Or bighorn sheep. Yeah.
I think at one point we saw bighorn sheep too, but I think they're antelope, and it was just incredible seeing just this wildlife right there. And I love places like Red Rocks, where also beautiful. However, at this stage of life, kids at home, it's a trek down there, and the traffic and just getting out of the parking lot takes an hour. Getting in there is challenging, and it to me, as cool as it is, feels a little corporate-y. Mm-hmm. The Mish has all of those amazing things without any of that other stuff.
Thanks.
The shuttle makes it so easy to get there. I mean, you're in nature. We saw the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band play. I mean, they're on the river playing, and we're listening. You and me go fishing in the dark, and it's just like this is a dream. This doesn't even feel real. So I hope everyone will check it out. If you haven't already, I'm sure a lot of people listening have. But
it's definitely a spot that has a unique, intimate quality. It's 1,000 capacity, right? So it's small, and there's not a bad spot in the house. And it is a place where once you go, you check out. There's only people in the canyon there are there to see the show, and it's a true experience. I had Bob Weir played up there a few years ago, and he was so enthralled by the sound of the river going by that he stuck a mic out there, and he was like, this is how I want to have my set start, is with music from the river. We were like, okay, because it was so vibrant and something that people don't experience, that musicians don't experience. Stop along the way in this cute little town up in the mountains in the canyon by a river. It's a special spot.
It's special, for the people going to watch the show, and it's a great point also for the musicians. Where else do you have the opportunity to play in a venue like that? Nowhere. So we've touched on now 2 of your entrepreneurial adventures. Mm-hmm. You have more.
I did add something up there in the canyon.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Riverside, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we took an old campground that had a trailer park of long-term residents in it that was, again, very dilapidated, again, an eyesore and a problem area for the community. And we spent a lot of time, my partner and I, who bought into it, kind of relocating people who were living there into better places, much better spots. And now we've brought in tiny homes and renovated them and renovated all the cabins. And we have these big glamps. I don't know if you know what a glamp is, but it's glamorous camping, meaning you don't have to bring anything. You show up, there's a bed, you don't sleep on the ground, but it's the tent camping experience.
Yeah, it's like a kind of luxury tent.
Yeah.
And you have beds set up.
Yep.
And I mean, toiletries there too, or is there?
You have the shower house, and that, imagine like a glorified KOA shower house with, all the amenities. We've got a Airstream renovated coffee cart that has espresso, and we've got a general store and grills and community fire pits. It's a really cool spot, and it's 3 miles from the Mish. So now you could drive up there, camp for the night, take the shuttle, the free shuttle from there that goes back and forth to the Mish. And eventually you're even going to be able to order breakfast to have it delivered from the Mish to your tent, which is like my dream. Like, okay,
that's
I don't even have
incredible.
to get up. I'm going to look at the river, and all of a sudden Huevos Rancheros from the Mish is going to show up.
Well, it's only 3 miles away.
Right.
So that's super doable.
I know.
Wow. I didn't know about Riverside, Colorado until earlier today.
Brand new.
Yep. Sarah sent me the link and I looked at it, and so check it out. If you just Google Riverside, Colorado, the beautiful website will come up on your phone. I can't wait to have Huevos Rancheros in my tent.
In your tent.
And just that you can now connect these two things, because as easy as it is to take the shuttle up there, I think when you go up there and you see a concert at the Mish and the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band or whoever you're going to see, being able to stay up there, be in the mountains, wake up in the mountains, and have it be more of a weekend experience versus an evening night experience, that's special.
Right. And people want to go up and maybe make a weekend of it. They want to do rafting. We partner with Rocky Mountain Adventures. We partner with Firefly's fly fishing outfit. So they do private, rafting trips from there. They do private guided fly fishing trips. So we have like really great partners and opportunities for people who want to just really explore the canyon for the weekend. And whether you're a Fort Collins resident and you're just doing a little staycation up in the hills, but you don't want to camp. And plus, there's never an open camp spot. They're all gone. Like you have to wait 6 months ahead of time. You're up at midnight trying to get that camp spot in the canyon because there's only so many.
Yeah.
So this is a great option.
Oh, it's such a great option. I'm glad you mentioned it's challenging to find a camping site too, because, for those of you who are new to town or going to be moving to Fort Collins, my wife and I's first camping trip, we packed the car up and then we drove out, had the dog, really excited. We drove around looking for the camping site.
It's hard.
4 hours later, did not find a camping site. Arrived back at our house in Old Town, unpacked the car. So plan ahead. Camping is popular here. People like to get outside. And if you can have an experience glamping at Riverside, Colorado, and maybe pair that with the show, highly recommend that.
And if that's not your thing, there is Pingree Park, which is the secret camping spot that has a lot of, they're not manicured sites, but it's got, open camping spaces. So that's where Pingree Park's where you go when you don't have a spot.
I think we needed to be a little bit more creative. I wish we would have known that. I bet there would have been openings at Pingree Park.
Here's my tip.
I'm glad you brought that up too. Clearly you know Fort Collins incredibly well. You've been here since 2003.
Yeah.
How has it changed since then? For maybe for the good and what challenges have you seen?
I mean, I think one thing that I'm very happy about is that it hasn't gone the way of Boulder. I would say, I think that planning here has been smart. I don't think they've limited themselves. They keep opportunities for all artists to, very wealthy people. It's a very diverse mix of people here. So I think that keeps it stable, and I think it keeps it vibrant.
Yeah.
So I think that the city has done a good job planning, and it hasn't sprawled or, popped up like that, but it has continued to consistently grow healthily. And what I've seen is just more, decorated alleys and, lots of festoon lights in the streets, and kind of like growing the community hang areas in Old Town wider. So that there's more spaces for people to spill out in the summertime and enjoy, from the Exchange, which is this really nice outdoor eating area, to Old Town Square, where they do a lot of music in the summer. And, I think they've really been thoughtful about how they've addressed growth here. And they also haven't limited it,
Right.
which is important because you need to grow and change, and you can't become stagnant and like be a bubble that no one can get into or afford to be in, like Boulder, which is a shame because Boulder's a gorgeous place, but People's Republic of Boulder have stopped a lot of things from happening there, but Fort Collins is still open and they're still working with businesses. I'm a small business owner. I just opened a venue in Los Angeles. I really love working in Colorado and Fort Collins.
Wow.
So that's something to think about, right? Like this place is, friendly to business owners, and I think friendly to development as long as it's done alongside a good plan.
They're willing to engage in authentic, open conversation.
Yeah. I think they're willing to work with you too. I mean, just the fact that we were able to build this, 40 unit space up in the canyon in a national forest. I had to do a lot of work. There was a rezoning. There were 17 appeals, 5 setback variances, all that with the county, but they worked through it with me. Mm-hmm. And we got to yes, which is not something everyone can say in all communities.
That's great. How did the experience in Los Angeles recently differ from some of the experiences that you've had in Fort Collins? I think it might be interesting to kind of we'll certainly point out that Fort Collins is different in so many good ways, but specifically what's something that you maybe appreciated after having that experience in LA?
Gosh, LA, just even getting a business license was a challenge from the get-go, and the cost of business license, which was in the $8,000-9,000 range, whereas here it's in the hundreds of dollars for a business license. So that at a fundamental point, you can see that the pricing is so incredibly different in California. And then it's just the inability for them to get out from under a lot of the litigation and social things that they're encumbered with in California. And I'm not going to suggest that Fort Collins is similar to Cheyenne or in Wyoming, where things are kind of like, do what you want. Here there's measurement, right?
Sure.
There's measured caution, but it's also not the other side of the coin, which is overly zealous about, when you're doing a remodel, where your trash can go and how much of your trash has to be recyclable.
Right.
I don't know. Is this recyclable? Is this not recyclable? I'm demoing a wall. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to make part of it recyclable, but those are the kinds of restraints that they have because of things that have come down. And you just notice that people are just kind of working around it all the time and not really the essence of the idea of like, be thoughtful about your materials and don't throw things away that don't need to be thrown away, which I think was the intent, becomes very glommed up and useless in a way. So I feel fortunate here in Fort Collins, while they're thoughtful and careful and there are rules, and people can't go nuts and crazy, they're also reasonable. Right. And so that middle of the road place feels real good.
I think there's really good balance. Mm-hmm. I think there's really good balance, and I expect that to continue. And the other thing that I've noticed here is that everyone in the community is involved, maybe more so than other places. I would imagine. Was talking a few episodes ago with a well-known restaurateur in town, and we were talking about his restaurants and other people's restaurants, other local restaurateurs, and it was occurring to us both kind of at the same time that you could hop in your car and drive around, and we could spend 35 minutes and probably just go knock on the door of every restaurateur's house who has these amazing concepts in Fort Collins, and they're right here. I mean, they live here. They're going out to eat here at their restaurants, other people's restaurants. And so it's really fascinating that, to me, the local business owners and also the people in the community who you're having these conversations with when you are looking to get the variance, when you are looking to get your business license and have an idea, they're here too. We're passing by each other, walking in Old Town. We're seeing these people. We're involved in the community, care about the community, and everyone is collectively, I think, unusually passionate about the future of this place. Is that what you've seen as well?
Absolutely. I think, you've got people here of small businesses who are also supporting the local high school, and things like that. And I think the philanthropy here is unprecedented. I think the amount of businesses that support good causes is really great. I mean, you go to an event here, you see at least 50 businesses have donated this, that, or the other thing. And I think that's different from a place like Los Angeles or even Denver, where I think many of the business owners in Denver live in the outskirts, right? They don't live in downtown Denver. They have a business there, but they're going to spend their time in Longmont.
Right.
And I think that's more similar to Fort Collins.
Yeah, it's fascinating. What's next for you as you're going forward? You've done so much, you're doing so much. I mean, you are in it right now. You have all these things. One thing I mentioned to you shortly after we met here was in researching what you're up to and your background. I truly couldn't believe one person was doing all of this. There's
it's
so
not just
much.
me. I have an incredible team of people that I have worked with for in excess of 10, 15 years. I've got, a really great team. So you can't do the things that I've done, accomplish the things I've accomplished without a really solid group of people who are doing it with you. So
great point.
I have a lot of ideas. I create a lot of, momentum, but the people who really make it happen are the people who have been with me for a long time. So with that said, I think even they would like me to slow down a little bit. So after Riverside is kind of tightened up in 2025, I think, my big push is at my age, I'd like to really try and pull back a little bit, try and see all of these investments I've made and all these businesses that have come up, watch them flourish, try and get through, this is a little bit of a tough time, get through this season. And in 2025, see if we can pull off the gas a little bit and settle down, and I can go travel a little more. But, who knows, right? The venues are doing well. The bowling alleys are doing great. Mishawaka is having its best year of its tenure this year, with the shows that we have going there. And it's just been, 14 years of compounded good reputation, well-managed, good operations. And now we're really seeing bearing the fruit of all that labor. So, I think next year I'm not going to start a new business. That's my goal.
What does a normal day look like for you now, if there is such a thing as a normal day? We're talking about, we've got bowling, we've got multiple music venues, we've got the Mishawaka, which is just becoming more and more popular. Riverside, Colorado now. I didn't realize there were 40 units up there, larger than I thought. Yeah. And so how do you do it? Yeah, day to day.
I'm what I call a live worker. So I don't really have a weekend per se, but I have a very flexible lifestyle. So, I schedule in self-care workouts and time, to spend with family, and, but in between I'm working all the time. So my job is to keep all of the people who work for me unstuck. Right. So that's really what I do, is I try and.
How do you define that?
Well, we have a lot of coordination meetings where people will come and say, I need this done, I need that done. So my job is to make sure things are paid for, make sure that people have the authority or the power to implement the things that we need to do. I spend a lot of time doing the bigger picture stuff with banks or with, the county or the city and things like that, making sure that when my staff gets in there to run operations, they're not, being blocked by obstacles. That's my big goal. And I'm a huge systems and processes person. So I really, I'm a Leo, but I'm grounded by Virgo. It's a funny thing. So I have lots of lists and procedures and systems, but I'm very much a big thinker. So, I'm really all about systems and accountability and empowerment of my people. So most of my people are very empowered and independent. And we have regular scheduled check-ins so that they always know what the rails are, and they're always confident about the decisions they're making are right on. I do a lot of strategic planning. So we have big annual retreat meetings. I always have a theme for the year. This year's theme is the Falcon, which is an independent, and so we always are kind of governed by themes. Last year was the bear, Mama Bear. So, I think that gives my team a sense of the direction we're going in and what the focus is and how we're trying to accomplish things. So I do a lot of that. And I really like to just make sure that the team is pure, right? So I don't keep people long who don't belong on the team. And that really helps my team feel respected, cared for, and they're always working with great people. So it's not as hard as it is in other places. It can be hard for me, but that's my job, right?
Yeah.
Keep the team clean and fun and powerful and positive. And that requires a lot of weeding.
Sure. I mean, it sounds like you trust your team, you empower your team, and you've learned that for that to work as well as it can, you are maybe hiring slow, firing fast.
That's right.
And that's how it works because you have multiple teams now, doing different things. And I like what you said about the falcon and the bear having these themes to kind of, maybe simplify things a little bit and just clear expectations. You're spending a lot of time, but efficiently managing these people. Going back to your personal side, you said that you block time for family, self-care, these types of things. What does that look like in Fort Collins? I mean, what do you do if you have a day? I mean, I don't know the last time you had a day or 2 days just to completely relax in Fort Collins, but if you haven't, hypothetically, then what would you do? I mean, what does a perfect day look like for you?
I would hike. I am a big hiker. I have a beautiful little dog and I love hiking and I love being outside. So that would be my perfect day, is to wake up, have a nice, coffee and breakfast, go on a nice hike. And then in the afternoon, do some relaxing. I try this is going to sound horrible, but I try to read one book a year.
I love it.
That sounds terrible, but I read one book a year.
Quality, not quantity.
Yeah. Try and maybe read a little, and spending time with my family. My daughters are all kind of grown up now. I have one that's graduated college, one who's a senior in college, and another who's a sophomore. So they're kind of off doing their own things. But that's what got me in LA, actually, is 2 of my daughters went to college in LA. So that's how that occurred, because I'm like, how about if I buy a business there and I'm there all the time and we can hang out? So that worked out great. But so that my kids are hugely important. And I have a wonderful relationship that I try very hard not to mess up because, I feel very fortunate to have that. So, I think it's, there's never a time when I don't want my team to be able to reach me. That I wouldn't know what that looked like. But if I do a really good job, they don't have to contact me very much. So great. That's the thing. It's my fault if they have to call me all the time.
Right. Where are you going hiking when you're going out for that morning hike?
I go all over. I mean, I do Young's Gulch, Hewlett Gulch, up in the canyon. I do a ton of hiking up there because I'm up there. And, I love Lori State Park and Horsetooth. And, I spend a lot of time hiking. It's a good thinking thing for me. I used to run. I can't run anymore because of deterioration of my elderly bones. But I hike a lot now. So, it's a time for me to process. I love it.
Oh, that's great. Does Isabel go with you also?
Yes, she does. She's small but mighty. She can go 10 miles. It's great.
Yeah, Isabel's the dog. What kind of dog is Isabel?
She's a Havanese.
A Havanese. Yes. She's here with us today.
Yeah.
She's so cute.
She's awesome.
No, that's great. And I mean, some of these hikes too, it's probably worth pointing out, you have a range in this area. It's not all hard hikes or all easy hikes. There's that and everything in between. But if you want to do harder ones, like, Arthur's Rock, I mean, that's a pretty tough one. I mean, you can do, Gray's Rock. Some of these are pretty challenging. Yep. And, maybe you can't run, you can't, get the heart rate up that high, but you will be tired at the end of that hike.
And beautiful hikes too. And all within 20 minutes. Like, that's the thing is you go out your door and you can go 20 minutes. I mean, you can hike a 14er within 30 minutes, right? So you've got Pikes Peak, Longs Peak. You can drive to those if you really want to go crazy. But yeah, just all sorts of options for outdoorsy things around here.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't know what to do if I couldn't be outside. And, when the weather's bad, which is very infrequent here, 300 days of sunshine, let's not forget. There's also places like the Lyric where I can go see art and great movies and independent movies and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things. I do like a good movie.
Yeah. My wife and I too have gotten a little bit more involved at CSU. They have this thing called the Banff Film Festival, which you might enjoy if you like going to the Lyric if you haven't heard of it. But they bring in all these independent films that you won't see any other place. Right. It's kind of like a little Sundance Film Festival type thing. And, you can bring in, we brought in beer. I don't know if you're supposed to, but it was very just tons of people just hanging out, watching these amazing, just documentaries that you won't see anywhere else. So that was super cool.
Having CSU right here is a big thing, right? It's such a great university, and it's also a great business, right? And it's got this beautiful campus, and there's a lot of things that we benefit from because CSU is doing stuff. The Lagoon series, they have music there too, and they do a lot of great things there. Great radio station as well. So I love that.
Yeah, the Lagoon series, the Wednesday, I think it's Wednesday night music they have there. That's super fun. And you bring the whole family right on CSU's campus.
Picnic, the whole thing.
Yeah. And I was thinking, my wife is so much more resourceful than I am in so many ways. But one of the things is I want to go to the Mish and I want to see a show. And then I will have heard through the grapevine that there was someone going to be playing there. And, I'll talk to her and she'll be like, well, I knew that. And I've already gotten tickets and I already had it set up and it's all done. Yeah, we're going. And I honestly don't know how she does that. So maybe people listening might be in the same boat. How do they keep tabs on which shows are coming and be a little bit ahead of the curve? Because this place it's not as much of a secret anymore. It has the best feel. It's as amazing as it's ever been, but more people know about it. So you want to be a little bit on it when you are getting in front of your tickets for the show. So
quite a bit because it is small, but on the website, there's this little spot where you can become an insider at the Mish, which hooks you up with our newsletter. And we're not real spammy, but we'll share with the insiders first often that there's a big show coming. And sometimes there's a promo code in there. And so that's kind of where people who really want to be on top of it and know quickly what's happening, they'll get the information there first. Right. Okay. So that's the insider list. And then, we're really Facebook and Instagram is a really great way to keep up with that stuff. We do a ton of social media.
Great.
Things.
We'll put the links on the show notes too in the podcast. Cool. So that's really easy. And what else should people know? To Riverside, Colorado, I didn't realize that was so new. You said it just opened recently.
Yeah, we opened in June actually. Okay. So she's still getting her legs on and we're figuring it out. The general store is getting more and more inventory and the coffee carts picking up more and more, customers as we get people out there. But, Riverside is, oftentimes it fills up when there's a good concert. So, but in the Mishawaka's information, it sends you to Riverside too. So it is a sister company. So they're connected.
Right. And I just Googled Riverside, Colorado when it came up and I got right to the website. So we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
And when's the breakfast thing going to kick off? Because I'm very excited about that.
I know. I'm hoping I can get that figured out before the end of the summer. So far, we haven't done it yet, but we've got some good shows coming up. We have 2 nights at Mo this weekend, so we might give it a shot and see what we can do. So I believe currently, if you're staying at Riverside, you can also put your bar tab on your hotel tab. Which is a cool thing. That's amazing. I'd be like, just put it on the room. I can't wait to go up there because the Mish we didn't mention. It's a great place to eat. There's a great bar there. It's just a full service restaurant in the mountains. There's nothing like that. You can't get a gourmet meal on a deck. We have a river deck that the water rushes right under you, and there's hummingbirds everywhere. It's a cool spot. Yeah, I like just being there. It's unreal. I'm so happy that more people are learning about it, hopefully by listening to this. Yay. And I'll be there myself a lot more. I can't wait to stay at Riverside, Colorado. Good. But I appreciate your time. Absolutely. This has been fun. I feel so lucky to have this opportunity. We were talking, I was at a wedding in 2020 in New York City and just happened to be chatting with this person. I found out we had a similar background and from this area, and he is your brother. My little brother. Your little brother, Taylor. Yeah. So I met him at this wedding and at a
bar in 2020, and that led to this connection.
Amazing how that all comes around. And here we are together.
Yeah, I was able to, because I know you have a lot to do, a busy schedule, and so neat to have that connection, have it lead to this. What a great conversation. I'll look forward to keeping in touch. And Dani, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me.